And then René, when you speak, I'll stop it.
Yeah, we'll just pause it
Hmm.
later.
All right, so I'll get started.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. It's very we're very pleased to host this event. I am Abe Lee. I'm the director of the Bioengineering Institute of California. For those of you who do not know, it's a probably arguably the largest consortium of bioengineering departments in the country. It includes all 10 UC campuses, as well as Cal State bioengineering and biomedical engineering departments, as well as even USC is part of this consortium. So we kind of exist to serve the basically the collective needs of trying to advocate as well as educate and promote research that especially benefit Californians and beyond. So we have a really strong research enterprise, and teaching. Teaching is something that we also very value and want to promote different types of teaching, effective teaching methods. But one of the very important things is we want to make sure all the students have good careers, good trajectories, and it's a good place to start at UC. So today we're very pleased to have this ILC, which is the Industrial Arm Liaison Consortium arm of BIC, to host this webinar for those of you that are starting your career, looking for a change in career, getting into this very exciting field. Without further ado, I'll have Walt and Linda be able to start this session.
Thanks, Dr. Lee. Great introduction. Hi, everybody. My name's Walt Baxter, and I am a scientist at Medtronic. I work in the cardiac rhythm management group, so I help make pacemakers and defibrillators. Um, we're super excited to be hosting two fantastic human resource professionals today that kind of span the bioengineering industry. So Linda and I are both really excited about that. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Bioengineering Institute of California's Industry Liaison Committee. And let Linda briefly introduce herself as my partner here.
Yeah, so Walt and I are the co-chairs, and we kind of represent the two different arms of an industry that bioengineers especially can find jobs at, though there's lots of different things. So I have more than 30 years experience in biotech at Amgen, and then I'm currently consulting and working through the USP and doing some other things. But one of my most favorite roles is actually is chairing the BIC ILC and really trying to Walt and I are really trying to increase the contacts between industry and faculty and students across the 10 UC campuses so that all of you have the ability to reach out to people with different backgrounds. And today's um, seminar career panel was actually a topic that was requested by some of the students. So definitely, if you guys have ideas, either email us, link in us, put it in the chat, but let us know, because we want to make sure that we're letting you hear topics that you want to. But we're both super excited. We've got fantastic speakers, again, representing the two different kind of disciplines that are there.
Thank you, Linda. Tonight should be a very interactive back and forth between our speakers and everybody who's online. You can get engaged after our speakers are done by doing the raise your hand in Zoom. You also could type a question into the chat. Linda and I will both kind of tag team to keep an eye on questions and make sure everybody has a chance to get their question answered tonight. It's a really timely topic, right? Of how to kind of get your start in the world, especially in industry for PhD students, master's students, and undergraduates who are all entering a market that we've heard is pretty tough, right? So we wanted to confront that head on and invite a couple of professionals in to talk about that today. One thing, a couple of notes I will share with everybody before we get completely started is sorry. I wanted to highlight that the Bioengineering Institute of California has a very nice front page kind of website. A couple of things that I wanted to highlight to everybody are, first of all, that there will be a system-wide symposium held this summer. This is traditionally a 2 or 3 day meeting that brings all students, faculty, and industry together in the state of California. This year's meeting is going to be at UC Santa Cruz. And you can see the dates on the screen right there, August 22nd through 23rd. please put that on your calendar. And if you're a student listening, maybe a master's student or an undergraduate who's got a senior project that you're really excited about, look for a call for presentations for abstracts, because one of the highlights of the meeting, for me at least, is getting to walk around and talk to students about their great research that they present at poster presentations. It's very low key, very informal, and a great way to network with people like Linda and myself and everybody online today. So I hope you'll take advantage of that. The other thing I wanted to let everybody know is that under Industry Liaison Committee resources, you can find all of our previous webinars linked here, so that if you see a topic that's interesting to you, just go ahead and click. This is all connected to YouTube. It's super seamless. Thank you, Jiho, for setting this up. And we hope to archive today's talk as well, so that future students can take a look and get some insight about, finding that first job. With that, I think that I will, I will stop my share. Hopefully you guys are not seeing my screen now. And I'd like to have our first speaker, René Hubert, human resource professional from Amgen. René's link. Awesome. Thank you. Hey, thanks for all the insight, René. You generated some questions already, so we'll get all that going here in a little bit after Jenna finishes up. Thank you for also sharing this here. So we've got this also recorded.
All right, I'm gonna stop sharing then. Yeah.
Yeah. Would you do that? And we'll pivot over from the biotech sector all the way over to the medtech sector, try to provide some diversity of thought tonight. And I'll let Jenna Hoof from Medtronic's human resource team introduce herself. Jenna looks great. If you want to go ahead.
Hi, y'all. Thanks so much for joining and being here. And René, to no surprise, absolutely incredible information, not only like your journey, thank you for sharing with us, but just the tips and tricks that hopefully all of you here are going to be able to take away. To be honest, you might even hear some repeat information from me, just because to stress how important it is. The networking, coming to events such as this is huge for your journey, your career. So really grateful to be a part of this. I'll start my slides going here. As Walt said, my name is Jenna. I work at Medtronic here. We're engineering the extraordinary. So I am one of our senior campus recruiters on our emerging talent and careers team. I've been with this team with Medtronic for going on 5 years here. So super, super cool, having a lot of fun. Love what I get to do. I won't say it's unfortunate. I'm proud of who I am, but unfortunately, I do not have the brilliant technical minds like you all on this call have here. Talent acquisition is my bread and butter. That is what I do. But I am super grateful that I have the opportunity to be able to work with, again, engineers such as yourself, scientists, researchers, and get you to where you want to be and hopefully stay where you want to be. So this is just a Linktree code up here. No worries if you're like, I don't really care about this right now. I'll have it at the end in case if I can change your mind. You'll just see here, it has more resources to learn more about Medtronic other than what I'll cover today, more about our internship program, because that's specifically what I do on our team is our internship program. But don't worry, I have tips and tricks for everybody. You can meet the rest of our team. My LinkedIn is there as well. And then just a plug, once our applications open on August 1st, we'll be posting them there. Highly recommend to apply if you're interested. But that being said, getting into some meat and potatoes here, I kept that fourth one there purposely because I think that is the most important part. I call it the 5 W's or the toolkit to getting hired. But a really quick, look of what I want to cover here is I'd love to introduce or either reacquaint those who are familiar with Medtronic. I'm a little nosy and I saw some of the attendees here. I see some familiar names. So thank you so much for being here. Of course, a high level of what we do at Medtronic, who we're looking to hire. And then, like I said, covering the toolkit of the 5 W's. So I'll start with Medtronic, who we are. So meet Medtronic. We're creating technologies to unlock the world's most complex operating system, which is the human body. So by using tools such as like artificial intelligence, robotic-assisted surgery, data analytics, and predictive modeling, we're creating a bold new era in personalized medicine. And it all begins with the Medtronic mission, which compels us to alleviate pain, restore health, and extend life. This is truly our organization's enduring North Star, and not only inspires, but guides us and defines who we are. So as you see here, it continues with our new symbol. It's just a modern interpretation of an image steeped in Medtronic history. And it shows this figure striding ahead, signaling momentum towards restored health. And truly, that's just so it can convey the ultimate benefit our therapies deliver to patients, which is a chance to take a step towards full life. To kind of put into perspective, this is really what matters most. We're transforming the lives of patients. So we're transforming the lives of 2 people every second of every hour of every day. When you think about how many lives that touches, at least for me, it just really motivates me to do the best that I can possibly do. And again, be able to hopefully impact and touch other people's lives, such as those on this call, to be the best that I can within my role. Just really high level, some of our people here, obviously we are nothing without our people. So I'm really fortunate to work with some of the brightest minds working at the nexus of 2 exciting industries, which is healthcare and technology. So Medtronic is comprised of over 95,000 employees worldwide. We do have about 13,300 plus of our employees are specifically our scientists and our engineers. And then 3,000 and counting clinical professionals all across the globe. And so to show you here our global presence, this is kind of a lot of a little, but we, again, are that international organization. We are in over 150 countries. We're organized into 2 regions with 12 different distribution sites and at least 81 different manufacturing sites. So we're a little bit all over. Our operational headquarters is based in Minneapolis, Minnesota, which is where I'm actually calling you from. And then our executive office is based in Dublin, Ireland. Okay, next, kind of really high level, what does Medtronic do? So there is a lot on this page. Please do not worry about that, but kind of wanting to show you how we are, again, engineering the extraordinary by treating more than 70 conditions. So usually when somebody thinks of Medtronic, they might automatically think like pacemaker or maybe like cranial and orthopedic trauma or something like that. But we, again, do a little bit of everything. That's how we're able to touch so many lives. So what you see here in yellow is what we call our portfolios. So broken into 3 different portfolios. From under there, you'll see our business units and kind of broken out from there. Also want to call out, because I know it was really big, popular in California. If you're in with the news, we had our 4th portfolio, diabetes, but they were recently spun off, which is super, super exciting, up to their own. So they are now MiniMed. So Medtronic can focus on these 3 large portfolios here. And I wanted to show just a little bit of what our therapies and products can do. So let's see if I can get this to play. Oh no, that one's playing. Bear with me here. Thanks, y'all. Nuts. Well, what this was to show, I'm not too sure why it isn't playing, but the other one is. I'll share it out another time or maybe get a snippet of it to show you out. But this is something that's really cool. It's a deep brain stimulation, and it helps those with Parkinson's. So what you would have seen is the gentleman on the left side. He, as you can tell, will need a lot of assistance walking and not able to walk straight, very trembly. Whereas once they get with the movement disorders, and then once they got their personalized treatment with a DBS therapy, as you can tell, no assistance needed, able to walk in a straight line. And it's, again, just those little things in life where you, like as you see on the slide, somebody who just wants to hold their morning coffee in their hand, or again, be able to walk themselves to their own room or anything. It's things like this is how we're making an impact, again, not only on our patients, but hopefully their friends, their families, their neighbors, any of their loved ones around them. This is an example here of another one. This is our PillCam capsule endoscopy system, which uses a camera the size of a multivitamin, which is amazing, to take thousands of pictures as it travels down the digestive tract in search of abnormalities. So instead of having the really large, chunky, invasive like tube down your throat or anything, instead physicians are able to utilize this instead. Perfect. And I would be remiss if I didn't cover some of our accolades and recognition that we recently received from different organizations and partners that just identify Medtronic as one of the top employers for early talent, which we are very, very humbled and excited about. And we're excited to keep this momentum going for summer 2026 and beyond. And then who we hire. I'll cover this pretty fast just because, again, I specifically hire for our internship program, which does comprise of undergraduate and master's levels. But again, I'll also ensure to touch on some tips and tricks for those who are looking for any level opportunities. So co-ops, internships, full-time roles, anything like that. But just really quickly here, our internship program, kind of what can you expect from that? Well, it begins in June and runs through August. And that's just where you're assigned work on impactful projects under strong and helpful managers. And then our team on the Emerging Talent Careers team will be elevating you along the way, just encouraging you to enhance your network by participating in professional development opportunities, leadership panels, so much more. We also have some fun social events and volunteer activities that we sprinkle throughout the summer. For example, I know in the OC area, taking everybody to Universal on a random Friday, company dime is definitely a fun activity to do. But of course, throughout the summer, you will be having those meaningful conversations with your manager just to keep you on the right track to be considered for hopefully that full-time offer come graduation or returning internship offer, if that makes most sense. Hopefully then you can avoid those long lines in the career fair, anything like that. Wanted to cover here, in addition to those real world hands-on experience, we also want to take care of our interns financially as best as possible so they can focus on the work that they're doing. So on top of competitive hourly pay, we do also provide relocation benefits, as you see here, for students who relocate more than 50 miles from their school or their home address. So what we like to do is we try to take the furthest location and try and make as many people eligible as possible. So for example, here, your permanent address is say in Santa Rosa, California, but you attend like UCI, but you've always wanted to explore the East Coast and secure an internship in Boston. We can support you 100% that way in relocating, providing you what we call a lump sum. It's just a big old lump sum of money that we send to you to help defray housing costs for your summer rent. In addition to that, we also provide you a one-time lump sum of money to help get you there. So whether that's flights, trains, driving your car, and on top of that, we provide you with additional money for transportation support. So whether that's like a train pass, carpooling, gas for your own car, anything like that. And then for our larger intern cohorts, such as, of course, Minnesota, where our operational headquarters is based out of, or the OC area, we provide what we call Medtronic sponsored housing, where we actually set you up in an apartment complex and we pair you with Medtronic summer interns at no cost to you. So you never see a rent bill, parking bill, utilities. We just cover that all for you. Again, do want to reiterate that these benefits are for those who are not local to the Medtronic internship site, meaning if you're moving more than 50 miles from your school or home address. And so I just wanted to cover here what is already in the works for this summer. So again, our applications, we're no longer hiring for this summer, but again, they do open August 1st. So to Renee's point, how you mentioned that to apply sooner rather than later, and it happens earlier in the fall, don't wait till January or February. Usually a lot of big organizations, their internships will close, but again, not to say that there'll be other opportunities, but just wanted to plug that our applications do open August 1st. And why is that? Is because our internship program is usually set for that June 1st to August 14th, for example, for this year. We do recognize that we do have a lot of students who are in the quarter system. So we do have different dates for those as well, June 15th to August 21st. And then really just wanted to cover here, in order to be eligible for our program, you must be available for the entire duration, so that 40-hour work week. And what I mean by that, say you have a big family trip planned in Europe and you're going to be gone for 2 weeks of the summer. Super, super exciting. I hope you have so much fun. I think you'll learn and grow in different ways that maybe the internship can't provide you, but unfortunately you would not be eligible for the program just because as a lot of our previous interns, current interns can attest that this summer goes by really, really fast. And so we need you there for every week. And unfortunately can't take those 2 weeks off. In addition to that, you must be pursuing a bachelor's or master's degree within any engineering discipline within the specific anticipated graduation dates. So these need to change a little bit. This is for these following summers. But again, at the end of the day, to reiterate, similar to what René said, as long as you're still pursuing any academics post your internship, even if it's another semester, you're eligible. And you'll see that on a lot of at least internship applications that is the case. In order to be eligible, you still must be pursuing education. Again, whether that is an undergrad, a master's, PhD level, it makes you eligible. And lastly, specifically for Medtronic, specifically for internship program, did want to call out that you must be legally authorized to work in the US on a full-time basis and not require sponsorship in the future for an employment visa. And why that is for that is, again, we don't want it to be just a one summer thing, call it a day, put it on your resume, never think of Medtronic again. No, we hope it is not only an impactful experience and you make not only really good coworker friends, but friends in real life. I've seen that a lot. And again, the goal is to have you return either for a return internship or a return full-time offer. And I'll cover kind of some sponsorship things that you would see on a regular job application. And that'll explain why, for at least this level, we can't do any sponsorship at this time. And then again, quickly highlighting some nice to haves. We'd like to see your cumulative GPA at least a 3.0, but that is definitely not required. And to be totally honest, if you don't have a 3.5 or higher, I would say just keep it off. None of it, usually it depends on the hiring manager, but we don't typically will ask. We want to see you for you and the work that you're doing. Of course, if you do have a strong interest in the healthcare industry, even medtech is even better, and any demonstrated leadership experience, whether that is through work, part-time job, volunteering, student involvement, anything like that. Any relevant academic projects you can bring in or previous internship experiences, those are also super helpful. And it also is a really great way to display your experience and hopefully passion for working in a team environment. Medtronic is a very large organization, but we are very cross-collaborative. You never know who you're talking to in which operating unit of which portfolio of which state, country, time zone. So we definitely are a very collaborative organization. Perfect. This is just really high level. Again, you're not like confined by any of these, but just to kind of give you an idea of some potential, not only internship areas, but areas that we do offer. So within hardware, software, R&D, manufacturing, quality, we have a little bit of all of these opportunities within all of our portfolios, which is awesome. And then do just want to call out, even though we are an international organization, for our internship program, it is just US based for now. We're a small but mighty team. Would love to go international one day, but these are just some opportunities where you could look, again, to look forward to of interning. And then again, hopefully, if you want to be there full time, you getting that return offer before the end of the summer. So again, Minnesota and California, those are our biggest hubs, I would say. Again, Irvine, Santa Ana, Minneapolis will provide that Medtronic sponsored housing if you're moving from else. Oh, sorry, Christian, you might need to mute yourself. I'll keep going though. But again, we're out on the East Coast, we're down south. We are, of course, Midwest. We're a little bit of everywhere. So any place that you've been either interested in exploring or you have family there, friends there, we want to get you there if you want to try it out there. And then did want to call out to, in addition to like the August 1st opening for our internship program, we do have full-time opportunities. That's really exciting, especially if you have like that BME or related major behind you, is our associate mapping specialist position. So again, the requirements here, we require candidates to have obtained their degrees within this upcoming winter or next summer. And it's, again, nice to have that BME major or that related major, but again, anything engineering related and the interest of kind of combining engineering and sales, this would definitely be for you. Again, at this time, candidates do need to have the ability to work in the U.S. without need for a current or future sponsorship. You also must have a valid driver's license. Again, this is kind of more of a sales position. And then nice to have if you do have like pacing schools, EP training programs, anything like that with cardiac ablations, really nice to have. But again, this is an entry-level role, usually hiring fresh out of college. So we don't expect that. Definitely is something that we can teach and train on. And I realize I'm talking about this and I'm not even telling you what an associate mapping specialist is. So really quick, it's a position, again, full-time entry-level job within our cardiac ablation solutions or CAS group, which is part of our cardiovascular portfolio. All the products that the CAS business treats are for cardiac arrhythmia, which is essentially abnormal or irregular heart rhythms. And when a patient is experiencing cardiac arrhythmia, oftentimes a physician will perform a cardiac ablation procedure. So Medtronic products are used by those physicians to perform those cardiac ablation procedures. And then what the associate mapping specialists do, they'll work in like the hospitals, the surgery centers during the cardiac ablation procedures and truly just represent Medtronic. So those specialists are there to ensure the best and safest use of the products, with the goal, of course, providing the best level of patient care as well as best customer experience for the hospital staff. So just really exciting opportunity there. And there's a big, I would say, travel element to it. So you're assigned to a territory, and then you're traveling around again to those hospitals, those surgery centers by car within your assigned territory. So that's why I mentioned a driver's license is necessary. Do you want to call out, this is not your typical 9 to 5. You definitely need to hustle for this, but it's high, not even necessarily high risk, but definitely high reward if you're looking to dive into work there. You're working out in the field again, and your days and schedules will vary depending on your caseload. So that is just a little bit, again, high level about Medtronic. Wanted to put my link tree here just so you can learn more about Medtronic, our internship program, meet our team. My QR code for my LinkedIn is there. Please, would love to connect. But really quick here to touch on the introduction that Walt gave. It sounds like students are asking and hearing about like this heavy job market, which again, especially being in talent acquisition, I hear it, I see it, I'm feeling with colleagues, seeing it around. So I wanted to put together kind of landing a role in 2026. This is what I call my 2026 toolkit of the 5 W's, the who, what, where, when, and why. So the who is really building your support system. So similar to what René said, it's kind of like shifting your focus, not just from like the recruiter, HR professionals, but focus it to the network that you need to build. That is huge is the network. And especially when you're at this time in your lives where it's a little bit easier for you to grab either alumni, professors, fellow peers, building your network is huge. And that's what I call like near to peer. So again, alumni, upperclassmen, they'll have those real life tips and tricks of what they did real time. Of course, faculty connections, having like a peer group, like accountability buddies. And then mentors are really huge. I know also René touched on that and how that really impacted his life. I would say find that for you and have that impact for you for the same. Utilize them for either like gut checks, mock interviews, anything like that. The mentors, if somebody is willing to be your mentor, they want to be there for you. Also the target persona. So who is the actual hiring manager? So usually when people are looking for like opportunities, again, they'll search for like HR, talent acquisition, the recruiters. But there's also like the engineering managers, usually the hiring managers, at least specific to Medtronic. Those are the ones that are actually making the decisions, having the interviews, wanting to get to know you, to see you for your long-term fit. So don't forget, again, to extend your network out to those actual engineers, whether it's in the specific like business unit you want to work in, or device, or maybe like location, or their alumni, anything like that. And also really, I would say, solidify like, who are you? What is that one sentence story of who you are as a candidate, as a person, what you're passionate about? Again, very similar to what René touched on before as well. The what, so again, building your professional toolkit. So what are you applying with? So like the artifacts, it should be more than just your resume. It's your portfolio, maybe your GitHub, or a deep dive project that shows how you solve problems. For like some med tech context here, like what resources are you utilizing? Of course, you do have career services. Of course, I feel like anywhere and everywhere, AI is all around us, of course, with those intentional prompting. Friends, family, professors, we all know this. There's also like highlight, like, are there any like specific regulations like FDA or ISO, or any technical skills? Like what are you highlighting? And then how are you staying accountable? And I'll touch this on a little bit later too, but are you researching, or are you just kind of doing like what we call like the spray and pray and hoping something latches, which is, I'm sure we can tell in today's market, that's not really working. Being more intentional is what you need to do to prepare and organize. I am sad to say there's one too many times where I'll be having a really great conversation with somebody and they say Medtronics instead of Medtronic, or they maybe even don't know when I ask, oh, like, why are you interested in Medtronic? We're not the only medical device organization out here. And they don't know. And we understand you're early in your career. You're just looking to land a role. You're getting experience. But if you prepare and you keep yourself organized, that'll make a huge difference along the way, not only developing yourself as a professional, but again, for hopefully landing that role that you're looking for. And again, I'll touch on this later, but tracking is super huge. So whether that's Google Sheet, Notion, anything like that, where you can log where you applied, who you spoke to, the follow-up that you get from there. This is just really, really quick, some resume tips and tricks. because it can vary per organization, but kind of what I say is, and I'm sure a lot of you know this too, but looking for keywords in the job posting. How does that resonate with you? Does it have things that you are looking for that you have? Can you incorporate it in your resume? Are you able to review any like examples from your industry? So again, tapping into like your near peers, your accountability group, anything like that, touching in with career services. Using a professional font. Again, sometimes people are using some of the cutesy stuff, which of course, like I love, but when I can't really read it and we're getting a lot of applications at a time, we have to move quick. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able, we just don't have the luxury of time to try and decipher what you're looking at. We have to move on to the next candidate. Including that relevant information, of course, call to action to those important achievements. What's really helpful, at least on the recruiter standpoint, is using personalized file names, so such as like first name, last name, resume, rather than having something a little bit crazy or maybe like protected information that you don't want shared. Don't forget that we can also see those file names too. And then, yeah, proofreading and editing. It's those little things. Again, I can count one too many times, unfortunately, where I want to call a candidate and set up a phone screen and they're missing a number from their phone number. I'm not going to try and search for that, unfortunately, so I'd have to move on to the next best, or maybe the email address will bounce back. So making sure that you proofread and having everything there. The where. So focus really, truly on being proactive rather than reactive. I know we are in such... we're so lucky to have like these lives and have these options and have these abilities to do so many things, but it is really easy to get like paralysis from that, of having so much that needs to be done or to do that you do nothing. And I think that's the worst thing that you could do, is do nothing. At least do something, try and be proactive rather than react to that. And so be on the job board. So what I mean by that, maybe look where others aren't looking. So maybe some niche medtech boards, such as like Biospace, IEEE, in addition to like LinkedIn, Indeed, anything like that. Professional societies such as BMES or SWE. And then maybe especially too directly on specific organization websites. I've seen times where really big organizations, I never see them on LinkedIn. I never see them on Indeed, because they know that they can just post things specifically to their company's website, and they'll still have enough organic traffic that way. So just keep that in mind. Again, if it's maybe a small organization or you've always been interested in it, but you've never seen really job postings with that, just go directly to their website. You never know what you'll find on there. The hidden market. And so what I mean by that is, like, again, if you're in with the news, checking the news, the press, especially if there is a specific organization or industry that you're interested in, and like for example, the release section of companies. If, say, for example, if a company just got like an FDA clearance or a Series B funding, that means they're about to hire. They're looking to hire more roles. You can anticipate probably recruiters posting jobs or things popping up on their website. So following that. And then office hours. So don't go just to like the career booth, but you're already doing it. I almost don't even tell you. Come to opportunities such as this. Go to info sessions, tech talks, anything like that. And then when, just really timing your takeoff. So again, similar to what René said earlier, internships are very cyclical. And so my experience, there are two cycles. There's the fall, which is September to November. It gets really quiet around, I would say, a heavy holiday season. And then a lot of, I would say, other organizations, maybe it's their time to hire or last minute hire, something like that. But I would say there's a secondary cycle in the spring. I see a lot of like smaller companies or startups doing that. And that's February to April, because usually those internship programs start in June. The referral first rule. So reach out to a contact first, apply second, after receiving their permission, of course. So it's always, you never know. You just want to have all your bases covered. You don't want to say like, oh, I spoke to Jenna one time at the SWE conference. Like, I'm going to put her down as a referral. And then, gosh, goodness, what if somebody reaches out and they're like, oh, Jenna, we see you referred this candidate. Like, do you think they'd be good for this role? And I go, I don't remember them. I think I met them once. So of course, have their permission. But referrals definitely really, really help. The 24-hour follow-up after a conversation. I would say if you are thinking about it, but don't do it, you should do it. I think it's almost a dying art in the sense of, and it's so easy nowadays to just craft something up. Just the other month or two ago, I think this is really smart. So this is a tip and trick here, is that I spoke with a candidate who was just interested in an internship program. And she actually, I think, just Googled Medtronic's headquarters. She knew I was based out of Minnesota, just wrote that as an address, listed to me, and gave me a handwritten note. And I think that is something I will never forget. And I would say, That really helps you stand out. But even sending that thank you email after a call, maybe reiterating some points that you feel like are really strong or really showcases yourself is really huge. And again, doing it like a weekly check-in. So again, dedicating some time to like sometime a week to search and prep. So staying organized, tracking, that'll just help you from the fatigue that is applying to jobs. And then here, finding your North Star, very similar to what René talked about too, kind of what are you looking for? So is it like the mission fit of the organization? Is it something that drew you to them? Is there like a skill gap? Like why this specific internship? Is there a specific skill that you're missing that you think they can give you or something that you can bring to them? The classic industry why. Again, I mentioned things like, so why Medtronic? We're not the only medtech organization out there. What is your why? And the cultural ad, what can you bring to the team? You know? This is just a little bit of bonus, some red flags, personally what I've seen and kind of why great candidates get passed over. So this one size fits all, this is kind of more for that internship level. Of course, it's very different when you're at a higher level, but sending the same PDF to 50 companies, it doesn't really mention like medical device or healthcare or something. It's going to most likely get to the bottom of the pile. The LinkedIn ghost, what I mean by that is having a profile with no headshot, an empty about me section. It's 2026. And honestly, so if you're not searchable, you almost don't even exist to those recruiters who are sourcing. There's the I just want experience trap. So when you're asked like why you want the role, I would say instead saying to learn is fine, but instead it's to say like, I want this role to contribute X while learning Y, because it's a two-way street in these interviews. Don't ignore the soft skills. So specifically for Medtronic, like medtech is highly collaborative and regulated. So if you can't show you're a team player or detail oriented, relying on your technical skills alone won't save you. Again, similar to my last note here, the follow-up fail, not sending like a thank you note after an interview. Just example here, like in a sea of what 500 applicants, the 5 who sent a note are the ones who actually stand out and remember. And if we do have any freshmen, sophomores on the call, pro tip, the reality check is be honest with younger students. If your company really hires if the company, that you're looking for really hires like freshmen, sophomores, like you should ask, or you should still attend their events because you never know what you're going to learn from them. Help prep for yourself for the future, which is really, really nice. And then this is an additional bonus Medtronic version. So if you go to our site, well, I'll start first here, tracking your application you submit. So again, I've done this personally and just professionally, like I give this advice out. Again, this tracking what you do, it seems like an extra step, but I promise you this will help with the fatigue when it seems like it's only rejection, being ghosted. This way you can actually see, did you get a response? Did they respond to you? Did you hear back? Do you have an interview? And it just really promotes intentionality. So again, you don't want to use the same resume and apply it to 50, 100 different organizations. You want to be intentional about where you're applying, again, so you can combat that fatigue. And really common tools, Google Sheets, Notion, Excel, easy templates out there. Make it yourself, make it your own, super easy. So at Medtronic, I wanted to cover, we use an ATS or an applicant tracking system called Workday. And so it's a really big, really popular ATS that I think a lot of organizations use. And know that at Medtronic, a job posting will always have how long you have left to apply. So again, similar to René's note, if you are interested in a role and you're ready and you have proofread your resume and everything, apply as soon as possible. Don't wait till the last minute. They will always have like the locations where you can anticipate where you're applying to and the work format. So is it all 100% on site? Is there flexibility? Is it completely remote? That will always be on there. The requisition ID, which is a little, I would say TA speak, but when you see like that R and a couple of numbers, that's just helpful if you're maybe connecting with a manager or talent acquisition and they can see the exact role that you're applying to. It will always have a salary range, which I think is super important so you can see. And it will always have a note about sponsorship. And so it varies per level, specifically at Medtronic, if we do offer sponsorship for roles or if we are unable to. So my screenshot here might be kind of hard to read. But what we have put in is that we usually will offer or are able to offer work authorization sponsorship at the principal level or above, especially in those like specialized expertise that align with long-term business needs. So keep an eye out for that. That will always be in our job postings if we have that or not. And something unique to Medtronic as well is that referrals come from the employee, not the applicant. So I know there's some I guess, like organizations out there where you can put in a name. But if you want to be formally referred to at Medtronic and it shows up in like a different category that you were formally referred by somebody, which I highly recommend, you have to ask the employee first at Medtronic. They have to go through the process of referring you. You get an email saying, hey, you were referred, confirm this information, and then your referrals get in there. So if that's of interest to you, you know anybody at Medtronic, or you build out your network and have somebody there, know that they could be maybe looking out for you, and don't be afraid to ask for that referral. I think that should be it from my end. So I will stop yapping there. Thank you for the time. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat.
Hey, Jenna, thanks a lot. That was perfect. And by the way, I think we lost your camera at some point. If you're using the browser like I am, you might have to go in there and turn that on again.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, everybody.
No, just for the last bit.
Okay.
Hey, everybody's been typing some fantastic questions into the chat. The only thing Linda and I would ask is just remember to put in where you're from, and so we can keep an eye on all the different campuses that are represented here. And Linda, do you want to read out a question from the chat, maybe? Or
Sure, yeah. So I think I've got one here. It says it's from Tymoon from UCI, and they're asking that they've read about Amplify and how Amgen is using protein language models for de novo design. How has that changed the speed of recovery pipeline compared to a few years ago before the AI craze? So that's clearly for René. I think it's a pretty good question.
Yeah, great question. Someone's doing some research there. Yeah, we're really proud of Amplify. This was a large protein model that was developed with Mila in Montreal, the Montreal Institute for Learning Algorithms, one of the premier institutions in machine learning AI. And what Amplify has done, and we've open sourced it, which is a great trend that Google started with AlphaFold. It's a way to predict protein structure from the amino acid sequence, and it does it with a lot less compute time and energy to get your answers. And it's cheaper in general to do that, and you get just as accurate, you get very accurate results relative to other ESM models. And it's basically showing that you don't have to necessarily have really high compute efforts to do efficient AI machine learning. And we are developing an in-house version of Amplify that's a little bit more sophisticated than what we released, but it's definitely helping us do our protein design work and in developing therapeutics.
So here's another question that I think probably a lot of the students online are interested in. This is from Ella in the bioengineering program at UCSB. And she wants to know, for PhD students, should they wait until their fourth or fifth year to apply for internships? Is there a benefit to applying to internships early? What would you suggest? So why don't we start with Jenna and then René for answering this one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, so sorry to put it on you, René. I think you'd be the best for this. At Medtronic, what we do for our, again, specifically for our internship program, when they open on August 1st, I truly mean it, apply as soon as possible. Our program, our summer internship program, is very cyclical. So if you're looking for an internship through that, that is the only main internship program for the summer. So applying as soon as you can. That is to say, if you do keep up with our jobs page, you can toggle with the notifications and everything. We do have what we call like contracted internships. So it's different than the internship program. It may not have all the bells and whistles that we're able to provide, like the housing, the relocation stipend, just because it is one-off. And sometimes those are available similar to like co-ops off season when it's like in January, something like that. But usually for our summer programming specifically, you want to apply as soon as possible. Our applications, again, open August 1st, and they usually close mid-October.
In terms of the calendar year, usually the grad internships are during the summer, but sometimes they're off cycle. They're not in the summer because you're a grad student. You're not on a regular schedule. In terms of which year you should do a PhD, I would apply early, and it's kind of defined by your professor and the ability to let let you loose for a few months, right? And normally you usually wait till after your qualifying exams and after your second year when you're starting to do your research. So typically it would be in your, third year or fourth year. Usually you wouldn't do an internship before that because you're busy doing your classwork efforts, your rotations, if you have them, and TA ships and so on. So it usually falls on third, fourth, or fifth year.
And I think probably similarly for the undergrads. I think you maybe mentioned that previously, but maybe after the freshman year isn't so good. But is it better to wait till between junior or senior
Yeah,
or
no,
whatever?
I would apply. It's harder to get it in your first year, of course, but you might get lucky and you get it, and it sets the course for you for your future internships. And that first summer, if you can't get an industrial internship, work with a professor during the summer to get that experience, and that'll be a section on your resume. So the fact that you spend a summer working with a professor will make it easier for you to get an internship in the second year with industry. Don't spend your summer at the beach. It's or at Carl's Jr. Make sure you're working with a professor if you're not in an industrial internship.
Linda, we're doing pretty good on time. We've got about 15 minutes left, but we are going to have to let our panelists go right at 7 Pacific.
Yeah,
So thanks for the concise answers, you guys. It's perfect.
doing really good.
Looks like we've got more. And I just want to say, if you want to raise your hand, turn on the camera and ask a question, it doesn't have to be typed out. So
Yeah.
They should get priority. The people who want to speak up should get priority.
If
there you
you
go.
turn on your camera, we'll see you, so we'll see that you're
Well, and
raising
raise
your
your
hand
hand.
too.
Yep.
But absolutely, yeah. If that totally gets credit. This is a specific question, but I think I'm going to generalize it a little bit. So this is from Evelyn. She's at UCI BME undergrad, and she knows she's going to be doing a cardiac rhythm management internship at Medtronic. So she's asking what habits or skills make someone stand out as a top intern once they're interning. So I think that can be generalized to both companies, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Evelyn, I happened to see your name when I was cruising through, and you were one of the familiar people I saw. So thank you so much for joining, and so excited to have you this summer. I love this question because, again, I think a lot of interns or students maybe make the mistake if they're like, nice, I secured that internship, I'm good, I'm just going to do great work and go from there. And they don't take advantage of every opportunity that they can do to stand out. And so what I would highly recommend and what I've seen is you're going to hear this a lot, and I hope you continue to hear this for the rest of your career, but to network. So not only within your team, but ask for like what we call, and you'll hear it too, is the intern card. And if you're interested in, even a little bit interested in a different device or business unit, anything like that, expand your reach, have those one-on-one conversations. And then not only for myself, of course, I'll be there for you throughout the entire summer, post-summer, but feel free to, again, really leverage us within talent acquisition. We know, of course, a lot of people, a lot of moves that are being made. Show up to those office hours, even if you don't have any questions, just to show your face and say hi. It's those things that go a long way, not only for the emerging talent careers team, but for your managers, your peers, anybody that you work with. Really just being there, be present, and don't be afraid to ask any question that you have. We're more than happy to answer anything. And again, that helps you be more rememberable, being able to speak up. So super excited to have you this summer. Hit me up on Teams for any questions that you have at any time.
Did you have anything to add to that,
Quickly,
René?
I'll amplify the ABN component, always be networking, but also raise bring your ideas, your solution to problems. Don't just wait for your boss to tell you what to do during an internship. Even if it turns out to be a not so useful idea, at least you're coming with ideas and you're showing that you're thinking about things.
Yeah, could I add to that, René? That really resonates with me. I think that one of the points that René made in his talk there is how different things are now with AI, ML, and other kind of new technologies coming on board. It's always been the case that you bring lots of new skills and ideas to an internship, but particularly now, the chances are good that your mentor may lack some of those. And so that's the sort of thing where I think you can really help us out by bringing some of that from the campus. And you may be told to do A, B, C, D, but it's okay to say, hey, wait a second, maybe I can skip B and C in that process if I leverage these tools.
And
So
I think
don't be
actually,
afraid to say that. Go ahead, Linda.
you know, that attitude is more than just with an internship, right? We mentioned the professional societies as ways to create networks too. On the biotech side, there's the American Association of Pharmaceutical Scientists, other things like this. It's very cheap for students to grow. Often they have mentor programs, and it's the same thing. I often learn as much from my mentees as they learn from me, so be really willing to do that. So I see, Anya, I was actually going to read your question, but you're online, so please go ahead.
Go for it, Anya.
Hi. First, thank you so much for hosting this. I got a lot of great advice and insight from all of the presentations, so thank you. I'm a second-year undergraduate BME student at UCI, and so basically my question was a little bit long, but I'll just summarize that. Up until now, I've been kind of on the fence about whether to go BME pre-med or BME industry, and so a lot of my experiences have been more medical related. They were either in research or like hospital volunteering experiences and such opportunities. But I want to get involved in industry, and so I will definitely apply coming the next cycle next year, starting August and onwards. But I was wondering, what is a good way for me to build my skill set further and help build my resume over this upcoming summer from a more industry point of view?
Yeah, I mentioned try to work with a professor if you can, even if you have to volunteer. Find some little mini projects that you can contribute. If you can't work completely, 9 to 5, 4 to 5 days a week, try to bite off a little project that you can do to help out his efforts. But yeah, I don't know, Jenna, if you have any ideas.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was going to say definitely the project routes, no matter how small or large it is, anywhere where you can, again, incorporate any of those like skills, keywords that you're interested in getting in. And if that's not the case, or again, we understand that people have rent to pay, they need to eat and everything. If you need to lean into any like part-time work, again, maybe leveraging, a little bit Medtronic that we really value collaboration, teamwork, anything like that, where you promoted to like a supervisor at your retail or anything like that. That's super huge. And then also what René said, leaning into volunteer work, that's a nice one. As well as, again, like any societies or student groups. Like, again, SWE is really huge. They provide a lot of opportunities that way, a lot of networking that way. Any of the student groups that you could be a part of, not only will you be able to, I guess, beef up your resume a little bit for, again, projects, things that they host that you can be a part of, as well as you might be introduced to another part of, say, medtech or anything like that you might have not been aware of or anything like that. So yeah, to recap, definitely projects, volunteering, student groups, super huge.
Well, I can add one cool project that anyone can do, which will be impressive on your resume, is to use ChatGPT to code something. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So create a project for yourself where you could write in your resume that you created code using ChatGPT that does X, Y, and Z, right? You did it on your own. It's going to be under your skills section. It's going to show you're sophisticated with machine learning AI, and you'll learn something over the summer while you try to figure that out on your own if you don't already know that.
I would just add that sometimes your lived experience actually demonstrates skills that are relevant but might not be stated. So, for instance, I had a student who had spent the summer doing inventory for a company, and they had designed a better inventory system, and they were interested in a quality position. Well, they had demonstrated that they could pay attention to detail, that they could keep track of things. If you're someone like René described, who has, many of us who have to work and juggle multiple jobs while you're going to school, that shows that you're goal oriented, you can finish what you've done. So, sometimes think about the translation of the skills that you have just from your life as well. Don't underrate that. We have let's see, there's two really good questions.
Yeah, I was going to say we've got so many. I'm going to
Yeah.
answer the question that Kavya Sheth from UCSC asked about juniors at Medtronic while you take another one. I'll just type that.
Okay, because that's a little more specific. There's several about networking, but I think maybe let's switch gears a little bit because we haven't talked about this. And there's one question from Cody from UCLA who wants to know what's the perspective about pursuing graduate school? How does that influence your career growth and leadership? And they're thinking specifically of biotech, but I think it's worth answering that for both biotech and medtech. I know a lot of students struggle with that, similar to what Anya said about med school. Do you need to go to graduate school or not?
And Jenna, you can go first.
Thanks, Renee. I would say, yeah, we definitely get a lot of those questions with our interns, especially if they're deciding do they want to go full-time route or they want to return for an internship for to pursue graduate level. And at least from my perspective, that is totally a you journey that you need to figure out and plan. We want to get to know you as best as we can, but you know your life, your history, your family, what's important to you, what's not important to you, what you're looking to try and do for your future. So I think that is a question that's hard to answer because it's really reflective of what you want. And so it's kind of more soul searching of where you want to be, how you want to be there, what those paths might look like. And again, leaning into any of your peers, or maybe if you are mentors or managers, peer advisors that you are able to work with, they can help you weigh the pros and cons of if they did grad school, if they didn't, what did that look like? Are they where they wanted to be? But again, everybody's journey is very different. It's not going to be linear. Just because you did X, that doesn't mean you deserve Y. So it's really something that you need to figure out for yourself. But that is my side of it. I'm interested to hear, Renee, what you think.
For me, the main answer is one word. It's impact, right? So with a PhD, you're likely to have a bigger impact on what you're doing, especially if you're on the research side of things, maybe less so on the biomanufacturing side and some other industries. It may not be make that much of a difference. But one thing I always tell folks is you'll never regret getting your PhD, but you might regret not getting your PhD. And I would hate for you to 5 to 10 years from now, looking back and saying, God, I wish I'd gotten my PhD when I had the chance, because my career trajectory would be on a steeper slope and I would be able to do X, Y, and Z, and I'd be less frustrated potentially. But I've never met anyone who said, damn, I wish I didn't get my PhD. That was a waste of time. That never happens.
Yeah. I think it is true that it's a little bit different in different parts too. So most of my career at Amgen was in process development. And we had plenty of folks who started out with their BS or their master's and eventually got up to positions that you would hire a PhD in, or, you wouldn't be able to tell they were executive directors or whatever. But it takes longer because you have to get that experience in the company. So, eventually, I think if you're super good, it won't matter. But for most of us, starting out ahead is better. Here's a very interesting question from Ruby from UCLA again, saying, what do you wish you'd known about networking when you were first starting out? Is there a go-to question you use to break the ice and connect better with mentors? And do you have any tips on maintaining a relationship after the first meeting?
Yeah, maybe I can start with that because what I wish I'd have known earlier is to have your personal pitch well tuned and honed, right? Because that is the key calling card that you can pull out of your back pocket at any time. If you've practiced your personal pitch, your elevator pitch, you have 2 minutes of a really concise treatment on where you've been, what are your strengths and accomplishments, and where you want to go. You have a nice story. You make it personal. You don't list a whole lot of things like a laundry list. You make it a story, you make it interesting, and you practice it over and over again with everybody. And every time you're networking, you're practicing it, right? And so that'll be when you're a little nervous, you just pull out your personal pitch and you'll be able to have that great conversation with a stranger. It's kind of like having that, when you go to a bar and have that line that you want to, talk to a girl with or something, like you're going to be ready with your personal pitch to anybody you talk to, and you have to be ready anytime because you never know when you're going to run into somebody that's important, right? You could be at a conference in a coffee line and the vice president of Merck is right next to you. You have to have your pitch ready to go at all times. When you're interviewing, you have to have that pitch ready, right? So why not have it ready at all times when you're networking, and it'd be your calling card? Plus use the student card too, right? You start off by saying, I'm a student. Everyone is disarmed. Everyone will be forgiving if you flub things a little bit because you're a student. So start off with you're a student, go into your calling card, go into your personal pitch, and listen carefully to the person you're talking to and ask them questions. Don't make it all about yourself throughout the conversation. You start off making it about yourself, but in a conversation, ask questions to the other person, and you'll be in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. Even in conjunction with what Renee said, not only having that like elevator pitch ready, but something that I wish I would have realized first networking is that with your elevator pitch, your soft skills matter, especially when you're in person, you have cam on, anything like that. If you're saying something like, "Hi, my name's Jenna, I work at Medtronic," like it just not there, not about it. It's we of course people want somebody who's excited to be there, to be working with your team, and so having that display in your face, making that eye contact, maybe doing a handshake or a big smile or anything, and making sure that you are showing non-verbally that you are actually being intentionally listening, that you know that you want to be here. So that in conjunction with your elevator pitch, huge. That's amazing.
Yeah, your
And
passion, get
then
your passion out. Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
absolutely. And
show you're
I mean,
passionate.
you're introducing yourself, so I hope you are passionate about you, what you're doing, what you're going to school, learning about. So it should be hopefully a little bit easier to ease into it, and then you'll hone it very well. And a question that I like to use to kind of like break the ice and kind of connect better is I like to flip the script. What I like what Renee said is like asking those questions, but really getting the other person to talk. So you never know what nuggets you'll learn from them, from the company, what they really think when they're talking, even though they are trying to get to learn you. So I usually ask like, "Oh, so you said that like, Walt, you've been at Medtronic for 10 plus years. Like, how did you get here and why do you stay?" And so that way they can kind of divulge of how they got here, what was their journey, maybe it was similar to yours. You can latch on more to that. You can hear why they stay, because that should be a pretty genuine answer. Is it pretty I don't know, bland, not as enthusiastic or passionate? Maybe you can tell, like, I don't know if this is it, or maybe not the right team, or something like that experience. Or are they telling you just really great things that even resonate with you even more exciting? And then that helps build a conversation where it's just more natural rather than being like an interview one-to-one back and forth. So hopefully that answers your question.
Good. So it's 7. I think that's needs to be the end. Please, guys, reach out to Renee and Jenna if you have questions that didn't get answered. Or like I said, you can share them with me and Walt if, there's,
Yeah.
I'm sure all other people have the same questions, but we really appreciate the student involvement for the Q&A too. And thank you so much, Renee and Jenna, for sharing your expertise and your advice.
Of course.
That's
Thanks for
great.
having us.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. Good luck, everyone. Stay in touch.
So much.
Yes, best of luck.
Everybody have a wonderful
you.
evening. All right. Go UC.
Great job.
Bye-bye.